Kuz drops it off for LeBron in transition. Two-handed jam right in front of LaMelo Ball. Robert, do you think LeBron finally impressed LaMelo, who said the other day he's really not that into basketball?
I know he did. Look at him. I'm a part of this moment.
That's adorable.
This is a poster moment, but he says, hey, I was in the poster, but I didn't get posterized. He's happy about that.
At this point in time, that young fella's seen it all.
Well, yeah, that was like, so the other day he said, I didn't grow up as into basketball like that. And Robert and I were both like, but you grew up with the...
Yeah,
Welcome to The Jump. I'm Rachel Nichols alongside NBA champ Richard Jefferson. 4 NBA finals for this man. I'd like to pub that a little more, Richard.
Whatever you need. No, I'm here for it.
Especially when you're sitting next to
Yes,
the
I need
7-time ring
anything that
over
can
there,
add to-
Robert.
add-
Ori.
We shared a moment, though. We shared an NBA Finals together.
I share a lot of finals. They never went the way that I wanted to. But yes, we did.
Yeah, especially not the one with us, because you kind of like...
Yeah.
Oh! And there we go. You're going to share a discussion on Lonzo Ball, gentlemen, in just a few minutes, because coming up, the Clippers are reportedly interested in trading for Lonzo. Do Richard and Robert like this idea, given that the Clips haven't won consecutive games in a month? Stick around to find out. First, though, we are thrilled to debut a new segment here on The Jump called Can I Have a Word? Let's start out in D.C., where the 13th place Wizards out east beat the Jazz, who own the best record in the league, of course. Bradley Beal scored 43 points. Russell Westbrook had 35, 15 rebounds, 13 assists. After the game, Rudy Gobert challenged his teammates to fight back on the narrative about his team. Take a listen.
I think we have to understand that we haven't accomplished. We've been to the second round a few times, but we get upset when people kind of laugh at us on TV and disrespect us, and there is disrespect out there, but it's on us to have respect for ourselves.
All right, so Richard, can I have a word for Rudy Gobert's post-game comments?
No, I put it right here. Correct. He is 100% correct. One, he needs to challenge his teammates as a defensive, player of the year, as that guy multiple times. He is a person that needs to challenge his team defensively. The next part about it that I really agree with him is, like, they haven't accomplished anything. And so if you want that respect, it's a day in, it's a day out, and then it's a postseason. But the postseason starts now for them.
Yeah.
Robert, I'm going to ask you to reveal yours in a second, but do you agree on his point?
I totally agree with you, and it kind of connects into what I want to say for my word.
All right, we're gonna get you on screen here. All right, so there you go. What is your word?
My word is inconvenience.
Oh, all right.
And what I mean by that, if you want to be a champion, you can't have these little inconvenient losses, because you have to prepare yourself for the finals. You have to do these things. I say the finals, for the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you want to get to the finals, you can't have inconvenient losses, because you need the best record in the NBA, because you're one of the best teams that play at home. We know from years past, your fans are some of the best. So we know they're letting fans back into the stadiums, maybe, but we already seen them at your stadium. So you need this. You need this very much.
Did you write that?
I don't have very good penmanship, so.
Yeah, and I couldn't spell that, so good for them.
I want to shout out, actually, who wrote these. These entire boards were designed by our friend Katie Baumer. She did an amazing job.
Yeah,
You'll see
great
throughout
job.
this segment.
I
Exactly.
like it. I dig
We did
these.
not trust you to write anything.
No, that's smart.
Because we've met you before. Next up, I want to talk about what James Harden has been doing out in Brooklyn. The Nets are 21-7 since forming their new Big Three, 12-1 since KD left the lineup with a hamstring injury last month. As we look at Harden's impressive numbers this season, I want to point out that no player has ever won MVP the same year they were traded. So, Robert, can I have a word for Harden's MVP case this season?
I'm going with the word truthful.
Ooh.
What I mean by that, no disrespect to Paul Pierce, is that he's truly a good player. We thought that he was just a guy that can dominate the ball in Houston, but no, this guy is a team player. You saw what he was in OKC, he was a good team player, but he said that moment, like all great players, I want to go out and see if I can shine them on. Now he realized he can't do that. So truthfully, he is a good player. He's a great player. He is an astonishing player. He's one of these guys that can change a team at any moment. So.
Yes, but this is my thing.
Uh-oh.
This is my thing.
You want to put your word up?
Oh, yeah, here's my word.
All right.
The word is difficult.
Dude.
It's going to be difficult for him to win, to your point, to get traded to a loaded team. And I know the narrative would be, well, Kevin Durant missed time and Kyrie Irving's missed time and he's putting up historic numbers. Well, these are the same numbers that he's put up in Houston for the last 5 years. He's done this. And when we make it seem that he couldn't do it by himself, he had very good teammates. He was to multiple conference finals. He was very, very close.
Well, CP3 got hurt, so that's the only time it's really been close.
Close, but that's what I'm saying, though. He's actually already proven that he is that top tier, even as a winner, because he's had multiple best records. He's done all of these things with D'Antoni. He just couldn't get over that final hump.
But he didn't have pieces like this.
No, nobody has pieces like this.
He's not playing with pieces like this in this stretch.
But the thing is with him, though,
12-1 without Kevin Durant, which, by the way, I love the people who take those stats and they're like, oh, see, no one needs Kevin Durant. They need Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant.
But
yes, they do.
That's still impressive in this chunk of the season.
But Kyrie's a top.
Kyrie's just coming back tonight. He's been in and out, too.
He's been in and out, but Kyrie just had like a 40 ball.
He has been consistently
I'm not saying
good,
he's alone,
and he doesn't
but
get hurt.
Yes.
That's the one thing we never talk about. He plays every game, and he doesn't get hurt. So that's kudos to him for that.
No, I was just talking about that on the show yesterday because I think we're kind of missing that in what he's bringing to Brooklyn this season. We obviously have been talking about the change he made in his playing style, right? Being more of a facilitator, helping everyone else shine. But think about this team. Kevin has been out for now, I think it's going to be around 6 weeks at least. Kyrie, as I said, just been in and out throughout the entire season. If James wasn't there, this is all of a sudden the Clippers team from last year, right? It's like, oh, these guys have great talent, but no one's ever on the floor at the same time, and it's not really till the playoffs, till they're playing together. Well, that's not true now of this Brooklyn team because James is there, and he is providing that stability.
How about this, Rach? I don't have a vote. You don't have a vote. If the NBA, if the MVP vote was today, Rachel,
yes,
would he get your vote? I think he's first team All NBA. That's an obvious thing in my opinion. So that means he's one of the top 5 players in the league. Would he be your MVP?
So, first of all, I never talk about who I'm voting for until it happens, because guess why, Richard? We do still have the rest of the season to play. You're not making me fall into that trap.
Saying today.
But I will say that part of the equation is going to be, it's funny, when Harden first went to Brooklyn, I thought part of the equation was going to be, oh, he's playing with Kevin and Kyrie on those 3-headed elite monsters. We usually don't, we can't separate out what you're doing as the MVP in such a way that you win. That's not really the case because he hasn't been playing with those guys consistently.
Exactly.
But I do think in a shortened season, it will hurt him that a number of his games came in Houston, where he was putting up some numbers, but certainly didn't look like the way he
And the way he left Houston, too, is going to hurt him.
That's going to be tough because you got all of the writers, the media, and it's just going to be very
difficult, right?
Very difficult.
Right, but I wouldn't.
Not that he's not deserving. I'm not saying that he couldn't.
Right.
Well, we're not saying he's not deserving. He's playing MVP candidate all through the season.
Yep.
He just got traded, and you got other guys.
Forced to trade. That's different between saying traded and forced to trade.
Right.
That's the key statement there. And James Harden is an MVP. He's been top 3 for the last 4 or 5 seasons. So we're not surprised that he's in the top 3 again this year, especially with the team that he has and what he's doing. But when you force a trade and it's not pretty, you're not going to get
especially when a team gave you everything you wanted and you're like, oh, this is not working for me, I'm out. So it hurts him.
But I want to make clear, you guys are talking about the tendencies of voters, and I think you're both completely accurate.
We're talking about voters.
It's not a rule. I get kind of fans are out there, well, I thought the rule was you couldn't have 2 other people on your team. I thought the rule was if you had a trade. There's no rule. It's just what we know with trends over time with those 100 people who vote. And Richard, I do want to just take a minute to say that while Katie Bodmer designed these boards for us, I thought it was very sweet that you wrote hearts over your eyes.
Let me see.
And really, that speaks
when I was passing notes back in class before you could text, there was always hearts with the eyes.
You're not surprised.
Can't wait to see you next class, Richard, with a heart.
With a heart. Finally, we head out to Phoenix, finally, for everyone's benefit. Karl-Anthony Towns and number 1 overall pick, Anthony. I can't even imagine you in high school.
I was passing notes in college.
Poor team.
That was for
Anthony Edwards and Cat combining to score 83 against the Suns last night. Cat had 41, 10, and 8. Edwards had 41 points, 8 boards. According to Elias, it was only the 4th time teammates aged 25 or younger each scored 40 or more. Cat and Wiggins did it in 2017. Richard, can I have a word for Cat and Edwards last night?
Shout out Gus Johnson.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go.
Bullets.
Hope.
Shout out Bullets.
Hope. This is why there should be hope. Because Andrew Wiggins wasn't that guy. I think they established that. Very good player, deserving of the #1 pick at the time. Very good talent. He's going to play for 15, 17 years, whatever. But they never, ever had that guy, that dude. And
to be next to Cat.
To be next to Cat. And let's be honest, Cat needs to be your second best player. Not saying that Cat's not a multi-time All-Star, not saying that Cat's not an All-NBA caliber player, but if he's your second best player, then you might be on to something. So the hope is because if Edwards can be your best player, or if he can get to the level where he's the best player on that team and now Cat's your second best player, you got a chance.
Well,
oh, here we go.
Futuristic.
Oh, there we
go. Because this team could be a great team in the future, but they need some pieces to go with them. If you look at this duo, it's like a miniature. Notice keyword miniature.
Right.
Shaq and Kobe.
Oh, you're tripping.
It's just, come on, man.
You're allowed to say that. You're allowed to say that.
I said miniature now. I said miniature. But when you play with guards that are good and are big, that can cause double team, you make each other better. So Edwards learns how to play this game and become a better ball handler, an outside shooter. And Cat can understand he's bigger than most guys, take him time to the post, and when that's not working, step on the outside and shoot the threes. This team could be one of those futuristic teams that we always talk about, that we want this day and age, a stretch 4, a stretch 5, a stretch everything.
Yeah, that's why I like Cap, because he can go on the block, he can do a ton of things, but ultimately, certain times you see what's going on.
Yeah.
Cat cannot be your best player. If you want to win a championship, Anthony Davis can't be your best player. And that is not a knock on these high-quality players. I just think that if Anthony Edwards can get to the point where he's the best player on the team,
right,
and just because of his talent and his ability, now you're really on to something.
Well, you could have this guy if you add, let's say, like the Detroit Pistons did when they won it. They all were equal in talent.
Yes.
But they put it together.
But that's hard. That's hard to do.
But you never know what can happen.
But Miami, I think, did it. It had a chance at it last year if Dragic
you can have guys who are roughly equivalent, and not one guy. I mean, Shaq and Kobe, who you played with, they certainly, each one of them would have told you that they were the best player on the Lakers.
That really was me.
Well, clearly. There we go. I love Can I Have a Word? This segment will be back on The Jump. Coming up later on this show, though, we'll talk a little bit of Clippers. They haven't won consecutive games, as I mentioned, in more than a month. How concerned should their fans be about their inconsistency?